Hello, today is Monday, January 2nd, 2017, and I am your host, Sue Brown, and welcome to info2rail, your freight train to modern media. How y'all doing today? First of all, I want to take the time to tell you Merry Christmas, and I hope you are having a great New Year. And I want to say that I welcome 2017 with open arms and hope to bring you some amazing, amazing shows in 2017. As we've done up till now, there's some amazing guests coming on. I want to welcome you to our show, and we definitely have a great show in store for you. We're very fortunate to have, back by popular demand, the owner of the StarDust Ranch and ET contact, John Edmonds, with his psychic Alyzabeth August with us today. I think this is going to be an amazing show. This is kind of an update on what has been going on since the last time they were on the show. First, I want to take a little glimpse into the missing person files. We're going to revisit a missing teen, maybe suicidal. Freedom Michelle Dole, age 16, was last seen in Council Bluffs, Iowa on October 18th, 2016. Freedom is 5'3", weighs 150 pounds, has short red hair, blue eyes, a large noticeable light brown birthmark on her left cheek, and several tattoos, including an ICP hatchet man on her ankle, the name of Anthony just above the inside of her right elbow. That's shown in the picture that I'll be posting, and a semicolon butterfly on the inside of her wrist. She regularly daily medication that she takes, she does not have with her at this time, and she really, really needs that. She suffers from mental health issues and is suicidal. She wears a baseball cap often and sometimes wears glasses. Anyone with any information on her, please locate, on her location, please contact the Council Bluffs Police Department. That is 712-328-4701, or call your local 911. We're just going to do one today so we can get on with the show, as this is going to be a pretty exciting show. I am really excited about this. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, we will have John Edmonds and Alyzabeth with us. Stay tuned. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back with John Edmonds, and we are also have psychic Alyzabeth August as well with us again. They were on the show not too far back, and they were sharing experiences with us about the StarDust Ranch. They're back to kind of update us on a little bit of what's going on there today. John Edmonds is the owner of StarDust Ranch, home of Hopeful Hooves, a rescue facility for abandoned, starving, or severely abused horses. For the last 19 years, StarDust Ranch has been the location of many strange UFO and ET encounters. Such events include many close encounters of the third kind with flying saucers, black triangles, and gray alien beings. Video, photos, alien artifacts, and blood and tissue samples have been collected and analyzed over a number of years as physical proof of the events as they occur. John is a professional counselor and a therapist with more than 25 years of professional practice working with many different populations, including family and addiction counseling, crisis, forensic population, and PTSD counseling to deal with trauma, abduction, and PTSD. Alyzabeth is a psychic who frequently visits the StarDust Ranch, and she has had several experiences with these beings on StarDust Ranch, and she is here today also to talk with us about what she has experienced there, and I am so excited and cannot wait to get on with this, so let's do this. Hello, John and Alyzabeth. Welcome back to info2rail, and thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you, Sue. Thanks for having us back.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Well, I hear that you guys have some new and interesting things to talk with us about, and I know that the listeners that listened to the last show are very excited, and they really were interested in this. So can you fill us in on what's been going on?
Sure, be happy to. For those of us that or for those listeners that are not familiar with us, just a real super brief recap. My name is John Edmonds. I own a ranch called StarDust Ranch out in Rainbow Valley, Arizona, about 40 miles southwest of Phoenix, Arizona. And this ranch, for whatever reason, is right in the middle of UFO Central. And we seem to be a ranch that seems to be infested with gray aliens. And we are finding out now, because of the 2 portals that are on the property, that we are beginning to see other types of aliens as well. And a few days ago, Alyzabeth, my good friend Alyzabeth, who she and I have been working together and just trying to get to the bottom of the truth as far as all the different things that are associated with this ranch, and along the way, rekindling an old friendship that we've had. It's just amazing the kind of things that we're finding out. Alyzabeth was here a few nights ago, and things got late, and so she ended up spending the night and sleeping on the sofa in the living room. And I guess I'll let her take it from there. Go ahead.
Okay. I came down to the ranch with John. Did we meet up? I don't remember what happened. And I ended up here, and it got really late. It was really late, and I just couldn't drive home because I live 40 miles away. At least, yeah.
And it's like 3 o'clock in the morning by the time we finally
got to. It feels like it was close to 4.
Yeah,
it was close to 4.
Really.
And because I didn't want you to go to bed. I don't know what it was, but there was something. I just, I don't know. There was something, some energy or whatever. I don't know what it was, but I went to sleep for a little while because it was 4. I woke up. I heard some noises, and I grabbed my phone because I'm seriously going to record this because I'm tired of this. I got to get some evidence here. And I hear this walking or clicking or whatever on the roof. And I'm like, that's not a cat. That's not a bird. I don't know what that is. So I had my phone in my hand, and I laid down. I waited to see what would happen. And I looked at my phone, and it had 7 and not a colon. It was like 7, no colon, and an asterisk. And I thought it was 7. I thought it said 7 o'clock, but it was weird. I have an iPhone 6. And that's what happened. I thought, well, whatever. Everything weird happens at the ranch, whatever.
I have an iPhone, and that never happens to me.
Yeah, it never happened to me either, and I've had iPhones that came out, so I don't know what that was. But it said 7, what I thought was 7 o'clock, but it didn't look like 7 o'clock. It was like whatever. So then I lay back.
It's still dark, right?
Yeah, it was dark. It was. Yeah, but it wasn't 7 o'clock.
Right.
But so I lay back down, and I hear it again, and I look up, and there's freaking. I wasn't sure what was happening because of my state of consciousness. I thought maybe I was having a waking dream, but there was this huge reptilian, and he couldn't stand up straight in John's living room, so his head was down, between his shoulders. It was like lowered, and he had a tail, and I thought, what the hell is this all about? He had hands and fingers and stuff. I didn't really notice his feet.
So to help us out a little bit, how high are the ceilings in John's living room?
I put ceilings in here.
You have how high of ceilings?
9 feet, Sue.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I didn't know what to think. I couldn't get my phone to come on. It would not come on. And I ran down the hallway, and I knocked on John's door because I was like, I want to be kind of polite because I could be hallucinating or having a waking dream or whatever. So I knock on the door, and I open the door because I just couldn't wait. Cause it was coming down the hallway. It was standing. I don't know if you know his house, but there's a long corridor off the side of the living room, and there's a tile area that goes into the kitchen. And it was standing on the tile, And I'm like, I run in John's bedroom, and I'm like, I'm trying to get my phone to work, and I'm telling him what's happening, and Joyce is asking me, and John seems like he's awake, but I'm not sure if he is. And like, my phone wouldn't work, and I'm like, somebody's going to see this. I'm going to get this on video. Somebody's going to, corroborate this story, because I'm not doing this anymore. And so I stood in the bedroom, and Joyce gets up, and John's laying there, and I don't think he woke up. Did you wake up at all? I was trying to be like,
no, you should have said, get your butt out of bed.
But what
There's a monster in the kitchen.
Right, but what if it was a waking dream?
Well, it was enough to, I don't know, but all I know is that Joyce said there's a monster on the ceiling or on the roof or something like that, and she goes, do you want to go outside and kill it? And I said, no, and I rolled over and went back to sleep.
Well, yeah, she said, and I thought you were awake, because you were responding.
Yeah.
And she gets up, and I look out there, and I'm thinking, okay, come on down the hallway. Come on down. Scare the shit out of Joyce. I'm sorry. Do something. I need somebody to help me here. And she's up. She's like, oh, God, I'm late. And I'm like, I look at my phone, and it's on, and it says 6:16. Well, I don't know what was going on. Something strange happened, because it said 7-something o'clock, and like an asterisk, And I'm like, okay, I don't understand what's going on at all, like at all. And Joyce is all fumbling around, she's kind of oblivious. It's nothing bothers her. She'll walk right past it, whatever. So I come out, and I'm like, okay, where is it? And I'm looking everywhere, like, okay, where is it? And I go back in the living room, and the place where I was sleeping was moved. I was sleeping at one end of the couch as a big sectional, and and my head was by my purse so that I could grab my phone in case something happened, so I could record it. But my blankets were moved all the way to the other end of the couch, and I thought, what the heck? Because I didn't do that.
And the end of the sofa that Alyzabeth was sleeping at is about 6 feet away from where the portal that's in the living room is.
Oh.
That's my perch. That's where I sit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So apparently this thing came through the portal, and when Alyzabeth woke up or became conscious of its presence, it was standing over her and just towering over her, looking down at her. And, that's what we've been able to put together so far. And I don't know why that I was so asleep, because normally I get up. I'm usually a person who is a very light sleeper, and I'm, never more than a few feet away from, a samurai sword, due to the nature of this place and all the things that have come through that have been bad. And, I completely slept through the whole experience. I woke up about 8 o'clock, and Alyzabeth was gone. My wife was gone, and I'm here by myself, and I'm wondering what the heck's going on. And I looked around. I didn't see any blood or anything. I didn't see, all the dogs were okay. Everybody was fine. Everything seemed normal. And I just sat down and had coffee and tried to catch everybody and find out what was going on. And I didn't know until several hours later when I spoke to Alyzabeth that any of this stuff had even happened.
Well, the feeling that I got was, it wasn't that it was evil. I don't know what it was. It didn't scare me. It was just like, I was like, okay, I got to get this on video. I got to get somebody to see this. That was my only urgency. But I couldn't believe that after it all happened, I couldn't believe that I wasn't terrified. I just wasn't. I wasn't terrified about it. It's.
Did you have training?
Oh yeah. Well, I guess. Yeah. I won't talk about that though.
Okay.
So I don't know what, because I know that he says that he has an evil ETs, and I've seen the grays. I've seen one here, but it was
a bunch of them here.
Well, the yellow one, the baby poop yellow. Yeah, I thought, and I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on here that it's not just grays, it's not just reptilians. It's, I don't know what to call it. I think they call it shadow people, but it looks like more like a black smoke or whatever that floats, like when we talk in the living room, and it'll float right by. Like, I'm like, when I first saw it, I thought your house was going to catch on fire. I thought that's what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, okay, wait a minute. You know, do we need to get out of here? But
Wow.
I mean, you just don't know what. I didn't, and he never said anything about that.
Well, I don't
Excuse
tell
me.
people in advance about things because I figure, it's better if it's completely organic and people see it and figure it out for themselves, and then they report it to me, and then we make a record of it. If I go around telling everybody the stuff that they, should expect to see here, then what ends up happening is I'm kind of, preloading the experience. And I don't want to do that. I want everybody to have their own experience and, report it themselves. I'd rather it be completely unique and strange to them than just be, somebody expecting to have that experience and then experiencing it because it's like a placebo.
Yeah, the way you act, I mean, the way he responded to, all the things. Well, I haven't had that many things happen, comparatively to them. But when I have it happen, I kind of sit back and think, well, should I even say this? I mean, I do date a psychiatrist, and he's a really good scholarly man. And I know I'm not crazy, but why am I seeing this stuff? And I hesitate to say anything. And at first when I met John, and then I finally say it, and I said, why are you so cavalier? Why are you so cavalier? I'm telling you this, and it's crazy and it's fantastic. And he's like, yeah, but you got to know, I've experienced this already. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me? Why can you give me a heads up? I mean, and that's it's funny because I was really upset with him because he comes off all cavalier. Like now I just tell him whatever I see because I've just been hazed. I'm in the group, whatever. I'm initiated or whatever it is because I mean it's amazing his response to when you tell him these things and that was my first clue that oh my God, he's just waiting for me to say it because he doesn't know what I'm gonna experience. And you did say you haven't seen the reptilian.
I had never seen a reptilian. At that point, I had never seen a reptilian.
Well,
at least here on the ranch. I mean, no, I take that back. I have to go back to July 30th, 2011, when the 4 or 5 different races that were here. Because of the event that happened with Dr. Brandy.
Was it a shapeshift? Did it shapeshift? I mean, was it a human and had the eyes, or was it full on scales and lizard tail and all that?
It was a human, but when it was talking to me, it was talking to my wife, we could see it shift back and forth.
Oh. See, this one didn't. This straight on hardcore lizard. It was
like Tyrannosaurus Rex looking.
Yeah, but there was a humanness about it. It was like a, it's the most bizarre thing. It's the most. I don't even know how to articulate it really, but it seemed. I don't know if I mean human because it seemed intelligent or human because of whatever. Mm-hmm. But it had that like it was logical and rational. So that's what I felt. It wasn't like it was some crazy, bloodthirsty, reptile that's going to come in and no, it wasn't like that at all. Okay. It was different.
So
I've never.
Basically, it just wanted you to know that it was there.
I'm not sure. Well, I think it knew. I knew it was there, but I don't know what it wanted at all. I still don't know what it wanted.
Did you try to ask it anything?
No, hell no. I'm trying to get it on video. Sorry. I'm really trying. Yeah. No, I don't know. I'm trying to get evidence here.
Right.
I'm not trying. I don't care.
Well, I know, but I mean, there's the ongoing narrative of trying to get evidence, but then at the same time, there's also we should probably try to figure out what these things want.
Well, yes, I'm sure it'll present itself, but at the moment, first thing first. Okay. I got to prove it, right. and that's what I would try to do. And I think that they mess with your electronics. I think my theory is what happened to my phone was it wasn't going to allow me to get the evidence. It made it so my phone wouldn't turn on. It made my phone do strange things, and no matter what I did, there's no way it was going to allow itself to be on video or have evidence.
And so we have a long history of electronics here being interrupted. Like we have, like stereos that turn on and turn off, TVs that turn on and turn off. all sorts of equipment here that acts irrationally for no reason at all. Car batteries that are brand new, $200 car batteries that go dead in 3 or 4 days. Vehicles that for no good reason will start and carry on. Just one thing or another. All sorts of electronic disturbances.
Oh, and also, when I was with Corey all weekend, my psychiatrist boyfriend, he was having problems with his phone, and I was having problems with my phone. And I brought up the Rh negative thing, and he's like, I don't know if I'm Rh negative. I'm like, you're a doctor, you're an MD. How do you not know you're not Rh? What the heck? And then he was having these issues with his phone. He couldn't get it to work, and things were happening. And his car did weird stuff. It was like we were going 80 miles an hour down the freeway, and it turns off.
Car turned
off, and I'm like, you need a new car, Corey. I'm like, yeah, it turned off, and I don't know. I've had that happen to me just on my own, like.
And he was driving an Audi.
Yeah.
They're famous for that problem.
Oh, I know, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're also famous for starting up and running over people, and seriously, I mean, no, really, it's been an ongoing problem with Audi.
The A8, the S7.
No, it's just like 20, 30 years history of this.
Okay, because it's the S7.
It's well documented.
Okay.
Well, what kind of makes me wonder is when you woke up Joyce and she kind of panicked and said, "Oh, I'm running late." Does that mean that her alarm clock didn't go off either?
Yes.
Yes.
It didn't go off.
Yeah, and I mean, she has it's just a nice battery operated type of alarm clock. It's not like a plug-in clock radio or anything like that, because we've had so many problems with power here. She can't, she doesn't trust us. And so she wanted something that was, self-generating of power. And this goes all the way back to November 10th of 2000. The house burned down here. The main house on the ranch burned down because of an electrical problem. And literally, it just set itself on fire. They did an arson investigation, and the arson investigators came back and they said that there was no arson, that it was an electrical fire that started in the motor section of a brand new Tappan freezer that we purchased 3 weeks earlier. So, and it spread through the wall, up in the ceiling and across the ceiling, and burned the place to the ground.
And the kitchen is where it's like they're mining under there.
Yeah, I know, it's weird.
Remember I told you about that? Yeah, and the feeling, and you feel like an electromagnetic. It's like it's like something shooting a ray beam through your head. Like it makes you feel kind of dizzy. That's how I'm going to explain it. It's not exactly the way it is, but I mean, I just lack of, kind of knowledge of that.
It's better to say exactly what you experienced.
But that's so funny that we glazed right over the fact that her alarm didn't go off, and she was.
I never even thought of it.
She was supposed to get up at 5. It was 6:16. She was late for work, and then she was worried that she wouldn't get home for her anniversary.
Right.
So basically, it was making sure that she wasn't going to get up to witness this either.
Well, I mean, it made sure I didn't get up, because I tell you what, I can remember hearing Alyzabeth's voice kind of like in my sleep, but I thought it was a dream, so I just turned over and went back to sleep. And I don't remember beyond that hardly anything else.
Wow.
I'm the guy who
that's
always...
crazy.
I know. No, I know. And folks, you're hearing it first.
Well,
this is the first time we've talked about this, so this is sort of a unique experience here on the ranch.
The only reason why I wanted to do it, normally he has it's like pulling teeth to get me to say stuff like this, but I had been on your show before, and I said, no, the reptilians aren't lizards, and blah 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 blah. It's the eye thing. It's like a ethereal thing, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. So then I was like, I've got to get on there, and I have to clean this up, because I actually saw a lizard, and I was making fun of people that saw lizards with scales, and I'm thinking, oh Jesus, I gotta fix this.
So how is?
I mean, and I don't want to be the one coming out saying I'm seeing lizards. Okay, no, that's not cool. But it happened.
We know.
Here I am.
From the last show, we know that your wife was sick. I was just wondering how she's doing.
Joyce continues to kind of maintain the disease that she is suffering from due to being exposed to a ET craft. It's something that it takes a long time for most people that have been, diagnosed with this. But it's like, she just seems to be maintaining. We're not doing anything special other than trying to just be as spiritually positive and enlightened as possible and pray and trying to just be good people. She eats right. She tries to, get enough sleep, which is pretty hard because she works a lot. But other than that, we're not doing anything extra special. But she's hanging in there so far.
Well, we're praying for her, definitely.
Thank you.
I wonder, because I've heard before that the ETs have their way of being able to cure people of things that, we haven't figured out how to cure of on the planet yet. I almost wonder if they will cure her.
I'm a person who's experienced that directly because, I had MS in 2000 and I was cured of it 100%, and it was completely done with alien technology. And I was to the point where they, my doctor took my driver's license away, and, he just told me, he said, make out your final arrangements and make sure your will's in order because you have rapid onset of this disease and you're not going to be around probably in a year. And, I thought I was done for. And, a guy who's a Pleiadian fixed me. And I was given a referral to him by a friend of mine that was somebody who was high up at one point in military intelligence. And, he's the guy that got him to see me and work with me. And we got it straightened out. It took literally 2 visits and about 3 hours of his time clinically using this equipment. And he completely straightened me out. And it's been over 20 years.
Wow. That is amazing.
Yeah, I'm very, very grateful. And the thing about it is, I think people have a tendency to think that all ETs are good or all ETs are bad, and it's just not like that. I don't know why I have had so many contacts with them. I don't know what that means, or I'm not trying to read anything into it, or I'm not bragging about it or anything. It's just part of my life, and I do have a pretty weird life apparently, but. It's just one of those things. We have to think of them almost in the same terms as people, and that is, there's a lot of good people in the world, but there's some hardcore bad ones as well. You can't make sweeping generalities about anything or anybody. You just have to take it on a case-by-case basis, and you have to use your head and try to discern what's true and what's not.
Yeah, and you can't judge a book by the cover. When I saw the Reptilian, I wasn't scared.
Well, he didn't try to attack you. He didn't try to
I don't think he even wanted to startle me, but I was just like, I was startled a little bit. I was totally excited. I wanted to get this on,
right.
And I started the frustration and not being able to get it to work, and he was just calm, or she, whatever.
Yeah.
It seemed like a he presence, but it could have been a she.
Yeah, I don't. The interesting thing, aside from the fact that there was damn near a 9-foot tall lizard in my living room, is the fact that the gate is really, really becoming active. I call it the gate, but you can call it a portal, black hole, whatever you want to call it. It's some kind of connection between here and a whole bunch of other places and other times. We've been getting people that have been coming by, making appointments to come by, and they're having all sorts of experiences. And this is a vast, very differentiated group of individuals, both male and female now. It used to be predominantly female, but the last few visitors have been male, coming in from various different parts of the country with all different backgrounds. They're people that, they're not preloading the experience. They're not coming here with the idea that they're definitely going to have an experience. They just come, spend some time, and we see what happens. But almost everybody is having some kind of experience.
It is amazing. it just makes me wonder with the changes that are coming around on the planet and how everybody thinks that, we're getting closer to the biblical truth of, the world coming to, or not really coming to an end, but when Jesus comes back and everything that's biblical. And, with that portal becoming more active, it kind of makes me wonder if it's not all connected in one way or another.
You know what? It does seem like that. I mean, it does seem like it's not like it's going to be like biblical, end times and all that. I think it's end of ignorance that they exist. They've been here. They're part of this. They've been here the whole time. It's just people are waking up, I guess.
I agree with that. I think it's almost as if we're the children of Earth are kind of getting ready to go through puberty and stand up and be counted and become adults, and we're being given a chance to push back the curtain and see who's behind it, and to see how we fit in, and what the rest of the cosmological society in terms of who's out there, and how we relate to each other, and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's really starting to happen. And, we have no idea from a day-to-day basis what's going to come through the portal. All we know is that it's decided, or whoever's in charge of it has decided, that it's going to provide an interface here on the ranch, both directly and indirectly.
I think it's just embracing the true reality of it. I mean, people want to sensationalize everything. Like, anything that's out there, that's not in their little bubble, it's sensationalized. And they want to act like it doesn't exist, but it does exist. It's just they can't stretch their minds enough to embrace it. And so, there are certain people that are ready to embrace it, are shown this thing. That's what I believe. I mean, before I met John, I was like, I don't want to get into ET, alien. I'm not. That's not my realm. No. But I mean, it's just waking up to the reality that all these things really, truly exist, and embracing it. Because when you look at it, I mean, we're still being racist against each other. What about the aliens? I mean, that's why I practice not doing that. Like when I saw the reptilian or lizard or whatever it was, I'm not going to judge it as being evil or having a bad reaction to it. Just be neutral. Let it present itself for what it really is. And if you want to open your eyes and embrace it, like with my boyfriend, he tries, but he can't. He wants to, but he can't. And it comes with time. It comes with experience. It comes with people saying the right things that you connect things to, so you can embrace it. So that you're not going to just absolutely negate it and say it doesn't exist. It's kind of like the opposite of a placebo, effect. You're not going to see it if you don't want to see it or you don't believe it's there. But it's right in front of you. But you have your blinders on, so you're never going to see it. It's just right there.
Well, I think that has a lot to walk hand in hand with religion as well. I mean, there's so many people who've had miracle experiences, that they would never believe would have happened before they actually experienced them. So they're thinking, I don't really know if there really is a God, and people start to question, if God exists or if these miracles really happen to people. And then when it's put right in front of their face and they've actually experienced it, and they can, actually say, I have experienced this, then they know for sure that there's something out there that's bigger than them, and I think that goes along a lot with this. A lot of people who've never experienced anything with an ET might think, well, I've never experienced it, so I don't know if I really think it exists. But then when they get the opportunity to experience it, then there's no going back, because they know for sure that I've experienced it and it is there. It is real.
It's like the cell phone. Like when we were kids, there weren't cell phones. I mean, that's magic.
Star Trek.
Yeah, it's like, and now it exists. It's like if you would have said, that's possible, that magic is possible. Back then, they thought you were crazy. We're saying this exists. They're saying we're crazy. And in about 10 years, they're going to be like, well, there it is. It's the ETs are everywhere, and we have cell phones. That technology is like
be at Walmart.
Right. And it's like, it's like you have a chance to get a jump start and get in with the program and see and open your eyes and try to embrace it and then deal with all the sociological things that'll, how it's going to impact it. Like, racism, thisism, just ignorance and getting past the ignorance and just being curious without judgment, being totally curious. And that's the problem. I think people are really scared of stretching their own paradigm. They're stretching their own minds because they think it's going to snap back and they're going to be crazy. Well, I did think this was crazy. I did think this whole UFO, the aliens, all that stuff was just like, yeah, I'm sure there's ET life, but why would they want to come here? Why would they want to mess with us? I mean, look at us, we're a mess. But, it is, they are. That's what it's all about. It's being able to embrace it and say, okay, yeah, this is possible.
It's funny because I look at it a little bit differently, and I say to myself, a lot of information has been coming out over the last few years about the whole ET thing. And, they're finding out that historically that ETs have been making visits for thousands of years, maybe even millions of years. Mm-hmm. And, honestly, it's kind of like we're the ones that weren't really up to date or really, in the know about things because they already been here.
Well,
and
you
just weren't making a big deal about it. And, so all of a sudden it's like we begin to wake up, our consciousness changes. Suddenly our consciousness affects their consciousness. And so we're having more interactions. And now we're finding out as we, just kind of tune up and elevate in terms of frequency and everything else, that there's lots of other things that are probably possible as well. And I think that's kind of like the overall, it's kind of like the big view is that, anything's possible if you're ready to, look at it. Yeah, look at it. And also at the same time, you're ready to say, well, this is possible. If you go ahead and you label it as being, some type of internal reaction and say, oh, well, I must be, losing my marbles or something, then that automatically pushes it down and pushes it back. And so you're not in a position where you can study it or look at it or even contemplate it. You have to keep your mind open and say, hey, maybe this is different. Maybe this is weird. But you know what? I can't deny that it's happening. It's here.
I almost miss my vanilla days where I didn't believe this and I had my own little idea about how the world was and how everything worked. And and now that I've gone down that rabbit hole, it's like, it's real. There's no going back. There's no going back. And you want to help people, but they're just so reluctant. They're just
you got their heads burned and fixed in the sand.
Obtuse about it. And it's like, even doctors, they call themselves scientists. How can you sit there and say it doesn't exist because it doesn't exist in your world and you're just, no, that can't be. That's not scientific. That's not scientific at all. You got to look at it and prove whatever it is, to prove it to be whatever it is. You can't just turn away and walk away like it's crazy.
But I think a lot of our...
You got a reaction, you just turned around and said, oh, I don't like that reaction, so it's not true.
Yeah, that's not the way I wanted it.
But I think sometimes our older generations, like my mom's 73, and I think sometimes our older generations are in no way, shape, or form in any way ready to, embrace that stuff. If that's something that they're not used to growing up around or have never had that kind of in their growing up. I know my mom's like, she just is kind of neutral about it. And whatever is there. But I think sometimes the older generations are a little bit harder to kind of, come into this or actually believe what is really going on, because I think that they're so set in what they were taught growing up that I've met so many older people that are just like, oh, come on. You know what? I've been on this earth for 70 some years and this is just not how it goes. And, I'm like,
well, what? They're ready, Sue, to label everything as a demon or as something that is, some dark, bad thing. And, the bottom line is religion, has a place in people's lives. But to use that one filter to try to understand everything else really is doing yourself a disservice. We need to just say, okay, It's possible some of these things might be dark and bad, but that doesn't mean they all are.
Well, in the Bible, it talks about heavenly bodies. It talks about demons and angels, extraterrestrials. I mean, that's what that is. It's an antiquated way to put it, but it is. That's what they're talking about. That's what it's talking about. I mean, just because it doesn't come in the form of, fluffy little white wings or devil bat wings that are evil. I mean, that's what it's talking about. I mean, they're talking about these as otherworldly beings. And that's what it is. And I can't believe that people can't put two and two together with that. I mean, I shouldn't say that because I was one of those people that couldn't put it together until I met John, and now it's like forced in my face, and I'm like, okay. But I mean, I guess it would take someone having their own experience and being face to face with a 12-foot reptilian, and not be scared. Just deal with it. Like, what if they wanted to eat you? They just go eat you, and you'd be eaten.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be afraid of everything. If it's whatever, a lizard, a gray, whatever other color and shape they come in. I mean, I was talking to John about the grays and how they didn't understand human protocol. And I don't know about when they were taking his wife and molesting his wife. And it's not molesting, it's just lack of a word to use, that they were exploring what the heck this being is or whatever they're doing. And they don't understand how it operates, how our etiquette, how our protocol, how to follow it. Yeah, our culture. They don't get it. And I don't think that they really understand how important it is, or the ones that he's dealt with didn't understand how important it was. And I think that caused a little bit of fear for people, because you get all these people that have been abducted and they've had all these events, but I don't really know. There's two sides of that story. There's DARPA, and then there's the real ET agenda. And it seems the government's really working really hard to put that out there to kind of really mess it up, to just molest the information so that people are afraid of it right off the bat.
But there's a reason for that.
Yeah, there is a reason.
Control.
Yeah.
They don't want to be seen as irrelevant because of the fact that the people of the world are actually dealing directly rather than having to go through.
Yeah, they're not controlling the contact. They can't
right.
control the contact, so they're going to try to control it by injecting this fear-based idea about the aliens,
they
about
want us
the
to make them
vilify them.
No, they want us to make the government and the military necessary in order to say that we're safe.
Like Reagan said, if there was a threat, well, if there were a threat, we'd be dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to take the planet, they already would have done it.
Yeah, they would have.
Since I started, I think since I started doing this show, before that, I was really excited about this stuff, really curious about it, but I'm so open-minded to it now that I've been doing this show and had so many people come on and, got to experience this stuff through other people's experiences. I'm so open-minded and excited, and, people tell me, Sue, you're crazy. You don't even know what you're dabbing into. What if you get somebody on your show and all of a sudden whatever entity's there ends up in your house? And I said, then I guess I'll see what entity they're dealing with. I'm excited. It's opening to everybody, but there's so many closed-minded people that are too afraid to experience anything. I'm excited. I want to experience everything I can experience while I'm on this planet. And for me now, I'm a firm believer. I have a friend, Mark Brinkerhoff, who is an alien. And, he was put here by, because the baby in his mother's womb had passed, and he was put here to help us. And, he's been on my show a couple times, and they're personal friends of mine. We talk off air and stuff, but I believe this stuff. I mean, who am I to ever deny somebody else's experiences? I'm so excited about this. I just wish that other people would kind of open their minds a little bit and kind of try to wrap themselves around this.
I don't think it's gone general culture, the full culture yet.
It's not pop culture.
Yeah, I mean, if it really took hold in the culture, I think we'd be in a position where, so many more people would have an open mind and they'd say, you know what, I just got to check this out for myself. And, I think if that was the case, they say it only takes 1% of humanity to change the world forever for everybody. And, honestly, I think, if we could get past that 1% number, it would make a huge difference, because I look at it this way. The world is pretty screwed up the way it is right now. And we need as much input as ever, to try to change things. And, I don't care where it comes from. I don't care if it's, if God says, hey, you know what, I'm going to create a burning bush out in the desert and you all better come around and see it and then listen to me, that's fine. That works for me just fine. If it's aliens that come by and they say, hey, you know what, you guys are really screwing up the planet and here's some ideas to fix it, that works for me too.
Absolutely.
Whatever makes a better place for everybody and gives us a clue about how to help ourselves and help each other and just, do it right. Hey, I think it's great. I don't care where it comes from.
I do as well. I agree with that because, I have two younger children. I mean, I have two that are 22 and 21, but I still have two younger ones, and I want so much better for their future than what we're looking at right now. And you know what? I agree. If it's if it's an alien, and that's our way of, how we can cure cancer or fix our planet or whatever, we all need to be willing to listen.
Well, what I was going to say was Michio Kaku talks about type 1 civilization and moving on. We're like type 0 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the only way to evolve in that manner is to embrace these things that we think are fantastic or made up or, and I think that, Hollywood did a great disservice because they put all this stuff out there and it gives people all this
fear
material to fear it and have these crazy ideas about it. And since it's in Hollywood, it doesn't exist because they made it up. Well, no, they had sources for creativity. They used reality. They did. And it didn't help people to embrace it as something that's real and logical and could help us evolve because we are an evolving species. We are. And, I mean, if we're ever going to be a type 1 civilization, we're going to have to embrace it. Yeah, we're not the only people out there. There's aliens. There's alien hybrids that are liaisons to each type of alien race that are here on the planet to try to help people wake up. And it's like, just, if you think it doesn't exist and the alien ranch, StarDust Ranch is in your town, go there and have an experience. Then tell me what you think. Don't sit on your couch.
I am thousands of miles away from you guys right now, but my biggest thing I want to do more than anything is to go and see what I can experience there. I've been talking about this since you guys were on my show before, and that is like the one goal I have is to be able to go and experience what it is I can experience there. For me,
God, I'd love you out here.
That is amazing. I would just love it.
Yeah, you're very, you're welcome to come out. We invite people to come out and check it out for themselves. We find that the more tuned up people are before they get here, usually the better experience they have in terms of dealing with things, because I've had people that were so afraid that when they got here, they were afraid to sit on the sofa. They were looking around like at any moment they were going to get snatched up and taken away in a ship. And, it's not like that. It's a semi-controlled environment.
I think your experience, this is what I just had thought, because I had contact with the Reptilian, which was beyond me, and John deals with the Greys, and it's like and then when Ty was here, he had his own thing, and I think it's whatever it is that you're connected to, because I think we're all hybrid ET races. I think we all have a little bit of alien DNA in us, and it's whatever you're supposed to contact with. This is just it's like it is. It's a Stargate. You're gonna connect with whatever you're meant to connect with. You may not see a reptilian, you may not see a Grey, but you might see something else. I don't even know what else exists. I mean, I'm really, really a novice when it comes to the ET races. I'm just trying to get truth, and that was my whole agenda. But what are the other ones? I mean, you could have tall whites or something.
Well, there's tall whites. There's the Andromedans, there's Pleiadians. I mean, we have had, all these different races, and it seems like Phoenix, for whatever reason, seems to be kind of like
a hub.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's a place where they all
galactic hub.
Yep.
Interstellar hub.
Yeah, I don't know why that is, but they're here.
It extends into LA.
Yeah. It might be the whole United States, but for some reason, this place is really popular. And because it's starting to get a name for itself in terms of the place to come and check out, I guess the ETs kind of think that too, and it's like they're here regularly.
I've noticed that there's certain places where they're a little bit more active, or, people tend to see them more or experience things with them more than other places. I'm in New York, and very rarely do I hear of too much of it here. But Arizona, I hear about it all, continuously, things happening in Arizona all the time. And I'm like, I got to get there. I'm only going to live once. I'm 45 and I'm not going to get younger. So I'm psyched. I want to.
There are aliens out there on Long Island. There's some, you just have to get out there. You have to be relaxed. And one thing that I noticed out here, and one thing that I've noticed with people that come here and they talk, and since I've become a part of it, they talk with John and I, and they start, you could almost see their pineal gland decalcify in front of your eyes, and they'll start channeling information, and they're not even aware they're doing it. They're just thinking they're having their own thoughts, and they're channeling stuff, and we just look at each other like, we know what's going on here, because and that's what happens. Usually you'll come out and we'll engage you in the conversation, and the next thing you know, you've got all this information. You don't know where you got it from, and that's the beginning of it. That happened to me with John one-on-one, and I was like, where did I get all that information? What the heck's going on? And and then you start to become aware of the psychic ability, the telepathy, to be able to see somebody else's video in their brain when they have a video memory of something, and John can access it. I can access it. You can see it as plain as day and describe it. And it's the most strange phenomenon that I think I've ever experienced, besides, seeing ETs. But that's amazing, because then you've taken the red pill.
Yeah.
You've taken the red pill.
Yeah, it's a new skill set. And then when you get used to doing it, you just say to yourself, I think I was doing this my whole life a little bit, but now that I'm acknowledging it, and now that I'm, saying to myself, this is a good thing, and you're not afraid of it, it becomes more strong. It's
right there. It's right. You realize it's like, wow, I've been doing this all along, and I always thought I wasn't psychic or whatever. It's part of you. You realize that it's always been a part of you and who you were, and then you go back and you backwards engineer everything that's happened in your life, and you're like, wow, that's why I did that. That's why I did this. That's why I knew that. That's why, yeah. And it's the epiphanies just come rolling in like a tsunami. It's crazy, and it's exhilarating. It's waking up. But part of me, I just remember being part of the vanilla crowd, and just there's safety in ignorance. There really is. There's safety in ignorance. I mean, you really have to have bravado to want to confront this stuff and really confront it. After you do it, it's like a controlled. I hate to say controlled fall, but you have to manage the things that happen and the information that happens, and you have to navigate and direct it. Yeah, it does.
It really does, And I keep saying to myself that I think that, we hear about the fact that a lot of our DNA is not actually used. And I keep saying to myself, maybe this is the way that we turn it on. Maybe this is how that part of our brains wakes up. And that is, it's kind of like coming out of a coma. I mean, you have to wake up a little bit at a time, and then eventually you just rip the Band-Aid off and you wake up fully. And I think maybe for a lot of people, that's what, the portal here is doing. And that is, it's helping them to say, hey, you know what? I'm ready to, wake up the rest of my DNA and tear the Band-Aid off and become aware. And, we're getting people that come back, not just once or twice, but on a regular basis. And they keep saying, you know what? And the more I try this, the better I'm realizing that there's so much more to me than I ever realized.
Yeah, in the paranormal field, everybody wants to become more psychic. They want to have telepathy. They want to do all these things. And then they say, oh, yeah, toothpaste is a neurotoxin and deodorant has aluminum in it and all these things. You got to go organic. And, if you're going to do it that way, that's the long route. I mean, you can be a chain-smoking alcoholic, come out here to the ranch, and all of a sudden your pineal gland's wide open and working. I mean, it's insane. You don't have to do all that stuff. You don't have to sit there and meditate. You come here, and it's just downloaded on you. And that's it. That was my experience.
It'll rock your world.
It rocks you. It really, and then you're able to really be super sensitive to other people's thoughts and their attitudes, and you have to really be able to navigate that and deal with that. Deal with yourself. I mean, it does make you extremely sensitive. You do have the power, but can you handle it?
And that's a great question.
I know how that is, though, because I'm an empath, and when someone is an empath, for those that don't know what that is, you kind of I don't know, you're kind of like a sponge. So people's emotions around you, their feelings, sad, happy, hurt, devastation, you kind of, for me, I feel all that. And when I walk into a room, I can kind of search the room and I can kind of feel so many emotions at once. If there's somebody in that room that means harm to somebody or is just a really, has a really, really strong meanness to them or whatever, I can feel that immediately, and I feel like I have to get away from that. I just, in so many ways of being an empath, I'm super sensitive to people around me, and that is really hard for me to separate what I'm feeling and, the calm and stuff in my life. It's hard for me to maintain that because I have to figure out if I'm feeling somebody else's pain, somebody else's anguish, if I'm super happy today because the people around me are super happy. And that is such a hard thing for an empath to have to deal with. And I mean, that's true.
Learning curve.
It really is.
Because I know, like with me, I've lived here for almost 21 years now. And there's been times here when I could barely stand to be here because it was so powerful. But the interesting thing about it was it's kind of like it woke up pretty much everything that I ever wanted to understand or to experience. When I was a kid, it was like I used to dream about doing all sorts of things, but I kind of put it away as I grew older and said, hey, I got to earn a living. I got to go and, join the world and, be an adult and all that kind of thing. But living here at the ranch and being exposed to this, it woke up, parts of me that were artistic. It woke up parts of me that were musical. It woke up parts of me that were, just the childlike awe that I had for the world when I was little. And, I think that's a really good thing to, throughout life, to be able to, keep all those interests and to be able to keep all those sensitivities, alive. I think so many adults as they get older just live through their children and they stop having any of those kind of dreams and desires to, participate in those things as they get older.
I agree.
And I don't think we should forget. I think that's what keeps us young. I think that's what keeps us relevant, and that's what keeps us hooked into each other and keeps us sensitive. And I think it's really good to be sensitive. I think it's really good to be aware and to want to reach out and open your heart and say, hey, you know what? The world is a dark place sometimes, but I want to fill the world with my light, and I want to find other people that want to do the same thing. And what it's all about.
I have this thing with dreams. When I was younger, I would have these really weird dreams where I would just continually go back to where I was. But there was one place that was my safe haven. But now that I'm older and I've learned how to kind of control my dreams, now a lot of times if somebody's sick in my family or something is coming that needs attention, like my grandpa, he passed, it had to be 2006. But that was my dad's dad, and he was 97 years old when he passed. I saw him in my dream about a week ago, and I saw him sitting in the middle of this hallway, and I said, okay, this is my dream. I said, so let's do this. And I said, hi, Grandpa. And I said, you're not. And he goes, I'm not alive, but I am here. He goes, I'm sitting right here. And I'm saying to my mom, do you not see him? He's right there. And I mean, I am so mad because nobody can see him. But he said to me, I said, I just was making sure that I just wonder if my dad's doing good. And, you know, because my dad passed in 2014. And he said, it's your mother's brother, Richard, that you really have to watch out for right now. And I was like, well, we already know because he's got Parkinson's and he's got dementia. And he said, no, you really need to pay close attention right now. It's getting bad. And I was like, wow. And then I said, well, I was curious about my dad because my dad had passed. And he looked at me really strange. And I said, yeah, my dad is in heaven now. And my grandfather in a really quick state had to get out of there. And I think he had to go check on my dad because he was gone so fast. And it was the messages that I'm getting from the other side are in my dreams, but they're so real because everything I'm getting a message about is really what's going on here.
Well, you know, Sue, we have a tendency to define things in terms of Earth and human terminology because that's what's most familiar to us. But, you know, I think as time goes by, we're going to realize there probably isn't really any real such thing as time. There probably isn't any such thing as, you know, life or death. I think there's just a change of perception, a change of destination, a change of our existence. And I think, you know, we're going to learn how to be in touch with, you know, people or personalities or whatever entities that, you know, right now we have them all kind of, you know, put in little cubby holes, you know, in order to form our understanding of what we think is reality. I think that definition of reality is going to change on a quantum basis very, very quickly.
I believe that. I dream about my dad a lot. I mean, I'll talk to my dad just about every night in my dreams. And, you know, we just talk about everything, the things that we talked about when he was alive. But it's a different kind of dream where I know for a fact that he's really there and he's really listening. But because I know I'm dreaming now, I've learned how to manipulate my dreams to the point where if I know, I'll say, I know I'm in a dream now, so let's do this to the biggest of my ability. And I will kind of, you know, anything that I want to know in my dream, or I'll ask the questions, or I'll reach out. And it's just crazy because my dad is in pretty much all of my dreams, and they're different than other dreams. But I believe that I don't think he's gone by any means. I think he's just in a different realm right now where I can't see him, but I know he's still here.
Well, you know, yeah, it's a non-local reality. And, you know, the thing is that I think that, you know, humans are a lot more powerful than what we believe we are. And that is that, you know, the mind is so capable. It's so incredibly powerful. You know, it can create almost anything. And I think that, you know, we're always looking for, you know, ways to create new technology that can do the things that we dream is possible. It seems to me that we need to really respect that concept and also believe that we can create answers and solutions and new ways to do things, new ways to perceive things. And I think we really have to be open to it. And, you know, one of the things that's, you know, so bothersome to me is the fact that people seem like they're afraid to reach out to each other and have these kind of conversations. And I think that, you know, if we really want to speed things up in terms of elevating our culture and elevating the earth and the world, the thing that has to happen is that we got to reach out to each other more. We need to be significantly more in contact directly, you know, sitting in each other's presence, you know, not just talking on the internet or the radio or TV or whatever. We need to actually have actual, you know, meetings in person where we can just sit and hang out and talk.
I agree. I agree so much.
That changed the world so much.
I think that I agree with that because I think that, you know, the texting and the stuff, you know, phone and all that stuff is so impersonal, and it's taken over lives in so many different ways. For me, it has. I mean, I don't see my 21-year-old very often. She's with her boyfriend, and that's where she is. But, you know, it makes me crazy. In my opinion, the technology has just taken us over in such a big way that I think you're right. I think that people should put away the cell phones and figure out a place where they can meet face to face and really talk with each other and really, you know, learn about each other.
Involved.
Yes.
Yeah, it's by design to separate everyone, but I mean, you can't control people if they collect together. I mean, if there's a huge collection of people that rally together, you can't control that. You can control each individual if they're separated. It's like safety in numbers, but it's also, you know, to disconnect you so that you can't feel, you can't resonate, you can't feel the other energy. Because, you know, everybody knows there's no such thing as a true solid. There's not, I mean, everything is moving. All the particles and molecules are moving. So that energy that your body's creating it's like, you know, exuding out of your body, and it's touching someone else's energy. And just because we can't see it, or just because whatever, you can't, actually they have proved this kind of stuff, I think.
Well, even Jesus said, you know, be in a group of two or more, and I'm there.
Yeah, it's connection. It's really connecting on more of just you know, on the phone. I mean, you can still do it on the phone because it's non-local. But to get in someone else's presence and resonate, you got to get in their field. To get in their field, it's something that humans need. And I think the ETs need it too. I think they do it too, but I'm not really sure. But I have to get back with you on that. But that's a theory of mine. I think that they need the collective. And you know, I really don't think that. And this is going to be really bizarre, but I really don't think there's anything that differentiates us different from the aliens and us. I mean, we're all the same. We all have bits of each other in each other. And like, just because someone's skin is a different color doesn't mean it's not, you don't have this kind of same DNA as they have. You do. You kind of do.
Right.
Everybody does. It's everywhere. And, you know, if we realize that and we start to work towards, you know, getting more evolved mentally and technologically and just save our planet and just not all this ridiculous war and fighting and all the crazy stuff that goes on to separate, divide, hate, discontent. That's crap. I mean, and also, like, they use all these mediums like, I'm smarter than you, I have a degree and this and that and the other, and they try to suppress you. And, like, the academia try to suppress other true scientists like, you know, Graham Hancock and Brian Forster. These people I admire. They're true scientists, but academia has a cow with them because they're telling the truth. They're going places that they shouldn't go. And you got to wonder why that control is in place. Why is that by design? Why?
Power.
Yeah, it's all about control. It's all about power. And if we realize that the power that we have, that's just right between our ears, that the mind has power over matter.
Yeah, it makes anybody relevant. It makes anybody important. It gives value
to everyone.
To everyone
and every living thing.
And that's what we have to see in each other. And that is we have to see that value. We have to appreciate that value.
You know, you know, think you could have fit, like, if I was upset with the reptilian, do you really think people might have feelings, you know? They might.
I don't know.
I mean, like, I wouldn't want somebody to be shocked and grossed out by me. You know, that's messed up.
Well, it's just, you know, and it's really not even so much, it's just the fact that it just appeared the way it did. It's not like they phone ahead and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to be coming through the portal in about 45 minutes.
So get ready.
You know, could you, like,
prepare yourself.
Yeah, could you have a meal ready? Be ready to hang out and enjoy yourself.
Yeah. I mean, but what I was saying is, like, I didn't judge a book by its cover. I jumped to conclusions about, oh God, it's a big, huge lizard and it wants to eat me. No, you're being crazy, huh?
Well, I've noticed, you know, throughout the technology age, and I know we all go through these different ages throughout the years, but I think the technology age has really put a wedge between people anyway. I see that people divorce, you know, they're continually on the computer looking for somebody else when they've already got somebody, or, you know, you're angry with somebody, or it's so much easier on the internet to say the meanest, most cruel, hurtful things that you want to type out into words that you would never say, you know,
in person.
Yeah, because the feelings that you would have if you were standing face to face with somebody you really loved would not be those hurtful words that you can type out, because it's missing the personal connection that when you're actually face to face.
They're talking about, Sue, is that connection I was talking about. When you're feeling someone's energy, you're feeling their ethereal field. So you're feeling that pain that you're inflicting on that person. You can't feel it when you're on the computer.
That's right. So therefore,
And that's why you're reluctant to do that.
People are just so, and I've noticed this, people are just so kind of cold and they're just feelingless when it's words typed on a screen. And I've noticed this from my own experiences. You're in an argument with somebody and just the horrible, mean things that they're typing to you, and it's like, wow, if I was face to face with you, would you really be saying those things to me, knowing that would just, and if somebody was saying those things to you, the emotion that you would be going through, and everything has become so impersonal, and people are just being ripped apart, families and kids and parents, and it makes me so sad, because I look at my parents. They were married 50 years, and they didn't have that kind of technology, and they're all close-knit families who grew up, my parents, I've never seen my parents have problems in 50 years before my dad passed, and when he passed, they were still very much in love. And I see that what this technology is doing, and what this whole generation change, these kids don't have connections to each other or their parents or anybody the way I did. I was born in the 70s, and I have that connection, but I look now, and it's like the whole information age, the whole technology age, where everything is texting or LOL and all this, when you're face to face with somebody, like
we have power over there too. I was born in the 50s, and it was a real leap for me to try to become, tech savvy.
Me too.
And to be able to learn how to use all this garbage. And the thing about it is that I'm very aware of the fact that we have to set boundaries in our relationships. And I tell people, it's like, it's great to talk over the phone, it's great to be on the computer, all that good stuff. But if you get something that's really going to affect or change my life, or to try to affect your life, we need to do that in person. And I tell people, get your fanny over here to the ranch, and let's sit down and let's do it in person. And, that's what we do. And I refuse to do that stuff over the internet or over the phone.
It's hard sometimes. That's hard sometimes, because, you get a spouse or, somebody you're in a relationship with, and you're angry at the moment, and you kind of go your separate ways. And for me, I know how I am. It's like, you know what? I shut that door. I don't even want to talk to you. I'm done talking about this. We've talked till we're blue in the face, and then the horrible things start getting texted back and forth and written back and forth. And then by the time you actually see these people in person, you're so hurt and angry that you got nothing to say nice anyway. So I don't know. I'm the same as you. It's hard for me to even get into this. And Facebook is a good place for, casual, hi, how you doing? But for me, Facebook and all that has really caused so much trouble in people's lives, because it's all drama, and it's all, so
we have power over that.
Oh, I do. I don't go on there unless it's, either my family to say hi to, or, my show. Other than that, I'm really not interested in what somebody did to somebody else in this big dramatic deal. To me, why are you posting that to public figure so everybody reads about, that's a private matter. So for me, it's frustrating. The whole information technology thing is very frustrating for me.
It's being misused, that's why.
It's because people are not using any kind of common sense or etiquette about it. I look at Facebook, I look at all these different things as being almost like you're broadcasting, okay? And it's like, I'm not going to tell you or anybody else my private business. I'm not going to broadcast that. That's for me.
That's right.
And it's like, that's for my wife, that's for my wife, and that's where it's going to stay. And, if I were to ever tell anybody about it, I would only tell them about it in person, and it would have to be somebody that, I absolutely positively had an intimate trust with.
That's right.
And, that's the problem is that people are breaking down those boundaries,
No more etiquette.
and they're just putting that stuff out there, and it's not the right place to do it. It's not because it's the technology. It's not the technology at all. It's the inability of people to make good decisions about where to use it.
That's right. It's a misuse of it.
I mean, look at what they did. Was it that? Who was it that went to that show, that Broadway play?
Oh, you're talking about the vice president.
Yeah, and they booed him, and I thought, that's just rude. Do people, they have no self-respect anymore. It's like, yeah, you might have an opinion, but you're in a public place. You're at a function. Maintain some kind of civil attitude. Don't be a barbarian. And I've noticed a lot of things about what they put out there, like, oh, yeah, the whole sex thing, and, our ancestors were wild sex. Yeah, they were unevolved. Do you really want to go back there? Do you want to act like a barbarian? Do you want to be refined and have proper etiquette and know how to act and behave? Be a civil person. I mean, no one's doing that. It's just all about exercising this animalistic, barbaric way of life.
Oh, I know.
And whatever the applications of the technology that we have, it should be sharing information, not attacking people.
That's right. I agree.
It's all about sharing information. And if you want to attack somebody, write them a freaking letter.
Well,
if you don't want to be in their presence. Go to their house and yell at them.
I'm kind of frustrated with the fact that, I go on the internet and I want to watch maybe a movie with my girls, and you got to get through all this, it's all sex and it's all nudity and it's all, it makes these kids think that, take your clothes off for every guy in the world to look at you, and that's, beautiful, and that's what it's about, sleep with as many people as you can, and they just, I'm a female and I'm somebody with my clothes on, so, it kind of just makes me mad how women are kind of put in the spotlight as kind of just sex objects, or Well,
that's that way, Sue. But the thing about it is really, they're trying to desensitize everyone, separate, nobody's congregating, and just destroy and take away their sovereignty, their sovereign power of who they are as a human being. And being a human doesn't mean being an animal. It means being a little bit more evolved than an animal. I mean, if we're all alien hybrids, we've got to have some kind of advanced DNA in us. So why don't we behave that way? Why do we have to be trivial and snide and rude and full of anger and blame your life on someone else or whatever? I mean, like the use of Facebook, you should be sharing information. I mean, we should all be trying to educate each other, because the way I see it, we all look like a bunch of crazy barbarians running around wanting to have war and have all this sex and everything. Just take everything that's sovereign and sacred away from us. And why even participate in it? They should have some rules, or at least people should just exercise, civil politeness and etiquette. I mean, don't you respect yourself? Don't you want to present yourself in the best light, as opposed to being some, angry maniac, sex-crazed fiend?
I know, I agree. That's what I'm saying. It's terrible.
But I always say the same thing, and that is that, what? We all have the ability to be able to turn the channel or to write a letter or an email or whatever and say, what? I thought this movie was rated in such a way that I could watch it with my child, and now I can't because it contains all this information. I mean, there has to be feedback to the people that produce this stuff. They produce it because people consume it. They pay for it. They buy it. And we can vote with our dollars. We can vote with our remote control. We can vote with our mouth. There's all sorts of ways. I see stuff that disgusts me. And I look at it and I say, you know what? That's it. I don't like that character in that TV show. I'm not going to watch it anymore.
That's how I am. I shut off the movies. I'm not, if there's stuff in there that's just not even comfortable for me, I'm certainly not going to, sit and let my kids watch it.
Well, my wife and I, when we watch something, we'll just look at each other, because we both have, when you've been married 24 years, you get to the point where you start to, kind of think the same way about a lot of things. And we just look at each other when we see something we don't like. And I'll say, do you really want to watch this? And she'll say, no, absolutely not. And we just turn it off.
Yep, that's how I am.
If you give it attention, you empower it and enable it.
Right.
If you ignore it, then you know. And we've talked about not ignoring the ET presence, but we're talking about ignoring like this barbaric way of interacting with each other, and the things that they want to pump into our homes about, you know, totally taking the sacred act of sex and turn it into some kind of carny sideshow. Really? Is that what you want to do? I don't think so. That's not going to be fun. That's not going to be good. You're going to be miserable, and you're going to hang yourself from the ceiling fan. Find about 5 years.
Yeah, but then that kind of shows our kids that are coming up in age, though. It kind of shows them that that's what it should be about. And then my kids, I'm so lucky.
Well, they're teaching sex is
they're
a currency.
sexualizing everything.
They're teaching that sex is a currency and that you can spend to get what you want.
Right.
Yes, amen. Yes, they do.
You know, and that is exactly the wrong message, in my opinion. But we need people to stand up and say, you know what? Yeah, that you could do that, but that doesn't mean it's the right thing to do.
Right.
Yeah. Like if you eat something like that's bad for you once, but if you eat it all the time, you're going to die, you know? So you got to be discerning about how much you're going to take in and how much you're going to do it. You can't go have sex all the time and then complain you can't enjoy sex anymore because you did it to yourself. You know, you can't do that. You can't go eat everything. Next thing you know, you're like 500 pounds. Now you got to starve yourself because you're overweight. You're going to die. You got to be discerning. You got to have some discipline and self-respect.
Boundaries,
exactly. And that's, if we look at the agenda, if there is an agenda, I don't hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but, you know, what is all this about? Why are they doing that? What's the purpose of doing this, people? You know?
Well, in the Bible, I know in the Bible it talks about, you know, putting the kids against their parents and, you know, the husband against the wife and stuff. I mean, that's right in the Bible. And the crazy thing is I sit here and I watch it happen. I watch couples that would be so good together if they got rid of the, you know, disgust out of their life and they realized what you got right in front of you is enough. Why are you seeking outside of your relationship? Why is porn something that comes into people's lives and destroys their marriages? Why is it that you think that going outside of your home to find a partner for sex for one night is okay when you've just ruined your marriage that you've worked so hard in all these years? I mean, for me, that just disgusts me. It's like, what you have in your own four walls is sacred. And I think that's what bothers me so much is there's not many people who see sacred in what they have anymore. There's nothing sacred.
No, nothing sacred or sovereign. That's the whole thing. That's what, you know, you're destroying yourself. You're destroying, if you believe in a soul. I mean, in the Bible, you know, there's a lot of stuff in there that you know, really they put in there later, but there's a lot of truth to it. And if you think about what Jesus said about all this stuff, it's like you have to be prudent, you have to be discerning. I mean, and you know, that's where I go back to the heavenly bodies and the other worldly beings. I mean, I think this is, the aliens have always been here. It's just waking up to it. And if you go and apply, hey, don't covet your neighbor's wife. You know, don't be going out there and having random sex with all these people. You're hurting yourself. It's not that really have control.
You're hurting everybody.
You're hurting yourself. You're hurting everybody. These are sacred acts. I mean, that's the most powerful act that we have. That's the most powerful magic we have. We bring a soul into this reality, into the 3D dimension. We bring a soul into this. Okay, so don't you think that's a little bit like the power of God? A little bit. I mean, I'm not trying to be sacrilegious here, but that's the truth. So wouldn't you want to respect that and hold that sacred a little bit?
I think there's a lot of people out there as well who don't kind of connect the sexual act with intimacy or anything. You know, it's just sex, and you know, it's you know, immediate reward and all that. And if they really thought about it, I mean, that's between you and your sacred partner, and that is. The intimacy should be above and beyond. I mean, what are these people thinking when they're not realizing the intimacy in the act of making love to your partner? It's not just go and have sex with who you want to. It feels good and it's okay and it's over. Where's the intimacy? Or, you know, I'm so frustrated. I got kids that I got to worry about, and I'm so glad that my kids were raised with my morals, but it's hard for them to fit into this world now when my 15-year-old daughter, most of the girls that and boys that she goes to school with have already had sex, and they're like 13 and 14. There's one that's already a father of a 2-year-old, and he's 16. And it's like, what is going on in these families that these kids think that this is okay? You know, when I was a kid, oh my heavens, if you knew you didn't do the wrong thing, my parents would have knocked you across a room. And these days, the parents just don't seem to be there.
Well, I mean, I think we're kind of getting far afield here, but, what it comes down to, and I think that almost everything that we look to for guidance teaches us one thing: stop and think, have self-control, look at the true commitment that you are experiencing by either breaking a commitment, a sacred one, or by, just going out there, not using discernment and just, doing whatever feels good for the moment. And, almost everything is about self-control, self-discipline, and that's the one thing they don't teach you in school. They don't teach you self-control or self-discipline. And that's how you get self-respect. That's how you achieve in the world. That's how you maintain relationships. That's how you manage your resources. That's what it's really about.
I agree.
If we just put in that one thing, in that one term, and use that, and, the military works on that basis, everything seems to work on that basis that is about management, self-control.
Yeah,
I agree.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should. I mean, is it going to be good for you in the long run? That's what I was talking about with this. We'll just use sex. I mean, you have sex, do it. Pretty soon you're going to lose the enjoyment. You're going to lose all the excitement. It's going to be
chemical reaction.
And then where are you going to be? That's it. You'll be hanging from the ceiling fan because you hung yourself because you can't find enjoyment in life. And that's it. You've got to manage yourself. You've got to monitor yourself. You've got to use self-discipline and self-restraint because you've got to get through this. You've got to get through at least 100 years on this planet.
Well, that's the difference between being a child and being an adult.
Well,
and we don't teach people that
being an adult is becoming like extinct.
Well, yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, but I see people that are in their 40s that aren't as mature as people that I knew when they were in their, teens.
Oh, me too.
Coming up.
Me too.
Yeah, that's.
But I mean, I think,
and I just look at them and I'm like, how did you manage to you're like a snowball rolling downhill, turning into a giant ice ball.
Yep, I see that.
How do you maintain a juvenile and you're 50? How did you do that? I mean, how did you not grow? How did you not?
Well, this is
the whole alien agenda here. It's like there are so many things out there that are interesting, but you've got to allow yourself to do it. You can't just be on one subject. You can't just be on sex. You can't just be on this. You can't just be thinking you're scientific and saying that doesn't exist. You got to prove it. You got to prove it. You got to get out there and prove it. You got to find other things to do. Yeah. Can't be on Facebook is good if you use it for information or connect. But if you're on there just to rant and rage and to release all these negative emotions, you're using it wrong. You're using it wrong. And people have the right to their opinion. You shouldn't be jumping down their throat because they have that opinion. If you want to help them see it a different way, then yeah, say something and interact with them. But if you're going to sit there and like chastise them and beat them down, that's not good. That's bad behavior.
Well, I think,
and we're destroying everything.
I think one of the hardest things is, a lot of things that causes trouble, though, is when you got one person or a partner that's always on Facebook and always on Facebook and always on Facebook, and they never interact with the family they have right in front of them. That's a very frustrating thing that I find that's happening a lot with people. I mean, when my kid has to text me from the next room, I get mad. I'm like, you know what? There's a door. The only thing that's right there that's separating us is a door. Open the door. I mean, no, if you want to talk to me.
Deal with the that cause that stuff.
I get mad. I'm like, you know what? If you want to talk to me, you walk your 2 feet in the room and talk to me. I do for you. I'm not going to text you. You're not going to text me. If you're in the same house as me, you walk yourself in and talk to me. It's that's the thing is I think a lot more families have to start getting this stuff kind of under control. When you're eating dinner, your phones get put away. When you're having family time, your phones are put away. But it all makes.
If I go out to a restaurant and I see a family, and there's 5 people there, and everybody is got an electronic device next to their plate, and they're all paying attention to that.
Yep.
And I say to myself, my God, what's the point of going out to eat?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. There's no human communication right at your own table. It makes me nuts.
Well, this is, honestly, you got all these guys that are always writing books about stuff. We need to teach them to go out and write some books about social etiquette, about, devices and technology and common sense and all those kind of things, because that stuff apparently is just kind of getting left behind.
But I'm wondering, in a sense, though, I think that I kind of wonder if the ETs have a little bit to do with maybe, I don't know, kind of trying to get us, I don't know. I think that there's an education behind why they're here. That's what I've always believed, that they're here to educate us in ways that we have dumbed ourselves down in so many ways, the human race has. And I think, I often wonder if these ETs aren't here to say, you know what, here I am standing right in front of you, and you don't have to go on your phone to interact with some app on here. Here I stand. So believe what you're seeing in front of your eyes. And I often wonder what their messages are, that if we could actually communicate with them on an actual communication where we could hear their thoughts or whatever they're saying, I often wonder if they're not here to really fix what we've screwed up in a big way.
Well, yeah, I think so. I think you're onto something, because when that reptile was, or lizard or reptilian, whatever you guys want to call it, was standing there, it was like, it was just, I think it was looking to see how I was going to respond, what feeling it's going to get off me, because I didn't get a bad feeling at all. Which was really, I just thought, okay, but my whole agenda, I was so single-minded that I just wanted to get evidence. That's all I wanted, because people don't want to believe it. And I think if I could get something, I could shove that paradigm. I could stretch their mind a little bit more and then say, hey, yeah, this is real. You might want to get into this. You might want to, experience this, or, help everybody figure out a way to deal with this and interact with it.
But that reptilian,
them walking down the street, yeah, that'd be great.
But that reptilian didn't text you a picture of him. He was actually there.
No, he didn't send me a picture.
That's right. He was actually physically in front of you.
In my presence. Yeah.
Right.
He didn't send me an email.
That's right. I'm coming. You better, like John said, you better get ready. I'm coming.
Yeah, I think that, that's probably might be their message. If you're going to have contact, you're going to have contact. And it's not for you to probably prove it to the world. It's for you to, make contact.
Just deal with it.
And I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know what kind of interaction I'm going to have next.
I'm excited to find out. I am so excited to find out what you guys experience next.
What do you really want?
I can't wait. When I heard from John, I'm like, oh, there was more activity. I'm so excited. I absolutely cannot wait.
Well, honestly, this is like one of the bigger things that's happened. But we have had so many things over the last couple of months going on. Ever since we realized that the gate actually
switched on.
Yeah, it's as weird as that sounds. Suddenly, it just decided that it was going to make itself available to us. Everybody just who has been coming by and checking it out seems to be interacting with it. We've had the whole room fill up with like a white, almost like a steamy kind of mist. We've had people sit in the chair in front of the gate, and the whole area around the gate is turned like a dark maroon. And put out this kind of like mist in the room around them. We've had, people that have been hearing things, and all of us that have been sitting in the room there have been, suddenly having like these, smell hallucinations.
Oh, olfactory hallucinations.
Yeah. It's like all of a sudden you start smelling things that aren't there. And, people, it's the funniest thing because... And
people coming through the gate, that has been, you actually smell their cologne or whatever. You're like, what the heck? Yeah, that, I didn't want, I really didn't want to say that on air.
Well, it's the truth. It's just weird. It's like, I'll be sitting there with some people that just came in from California or some people that came in from Florida, and we'll be talking about it. And then the next thing, all of a sudden, they get a funny look on their face. And at first I thought, gee, what happened? Somebody didn't, somebody's having a bad reaction to something they ate or something, what? And it turns out that they're having some kind of a contact experience right then and there. And they're freaking out because they're not sure anybody else in the room with us is having the same experience. And so now that I've seen this a few times, I'll look at them and I'll go, are you experiencing something different, so-and-so? And they'll say, yeah, I was afraid to say anything. I was afraid, it wasn't true. And I said, no, that's how it works. You start getting in touch with something, and the next thing you know, we're all having that experience. And that's the way it's been going. It's just really, really unique.
That's what happened to Al from Harvard. Isn't it Al, or what was his name? The kid from Harvard?
Yeah.
The patent office guy?
Yep.
Yeah, he was sitting in the gate and we were talking about some stuff, and he was like, it's like a lightning bolt went through him. And I'm like, oh, geez, what's happening to this kid? And John always takes the lead. He always handles it. But I'm like, what the heck? Because I don't think I got that look. I think I was a little bit more stealthy about mine,
Well, you were pretty surprised when you started smelling those flowers from ancient Egypt.
That and the cologne from you-know-who, and I'm like, what the heck? I was like, and then I didn't want to talk about it. I still haven't talked about that, what happened that day, or those 3 days. I still haven't come out of the box with that. That was insane. And I couldn't, but I did go back and corroborate everything that was channeled through me. I found it somewhere in literature. Some scientist had documented it, or ancient Egypt guy, whatever, Egyptologist had it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is real.
Yeah. Alyzabeth has been, we had a deal where for a couple of actually it was about 10 days where she kept coming over every day. And next thing you know, she was experiencing, literally like she was back in ancient Egypt, and she was channeling all this information
Directly to you.
Yeah, directly to me and reporting it to me. And she had, everything from, she was smelling like these weird flowers to, people were talking to her and she was hearing stuff, and she was seeing all this, like she was in a public court someplace, and just all sorts of things.
All kind of information about the culture and what happened and why the pyramids were there. And actually, Dr. Greer corroborated that for me. I mean, at least his version of it. I was like, wow, okay, so that's real too. Because I have no idea. John would ask me, we talk about past lives and all things paranormal. And I know everybody, like, I had an ancient Egyptian life, and I'm like, well, I don't know anything about it. I don't even know anything about Egypt at all, nothing. Because I didn't have anything to connect it to, so it wasn't relevant to me. All of a sudden, it totally became relevant, extremely relevant. And I was like, oh, my God, what in the world? I mean, all the way down to William Petrie saying that they cannibalized the pharaoh. And I'm like, yeah, they ate his brain. And I don't know where I got that from. And then, I told John that. Like, they were cannibals, John. And then I'm like, what do you think they did with the brain? And then I went and I found it in William Petrie's book that they were cannibals. But he didn't say they ate the brain, but that they did. That's what I found through. And I'm like, I don't know how that's relevant, but there was so much more information that tied into it. But that was the most shocking thing for me that I channeled. Like, I wouldn't think that stuff. That's crazy, Bill, But it came through me, and I told John, I was just sitting there, everything, and I was talking and talking and talking, and I was like, I couldn't believe the things that were coming out of my mouth, and John was taking it all in. And it was the most bizarre experience, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed I said that. I'm so embarrassed I said that. But it wasn't me. So I don't have to be embarrassed.
Well, Sue, these are the kind of things we're having. We had a guy that showed up about a year ago, actually, and he was a guy who had worked with gold, and he was somebody who worked with a lot of gold. I mean, like billions of dollars worth of gold. And he started talking about his experiences selling gold and being part of the whole marketing of gold that has become so popular throughout the world. And he looked at me and he said, what do you think's going to happen when they find out that a lot of the gold that's out there isn't pure, even though it's stamped with 14 karat or 24 karat and all these different things? And I said, what do you mean? And he says, well, they've actually watered down the gold with another element. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, the gold out there, the whole gold supply has become much more than it ever was physically capable of being because of the fact that they were using tungsten to increase the volume of the gold. And they were doing it in such a way that nobody would find out because it was stamped already and it wasn't easily detectable. And I thought to myself, my God, I don't know this guy, but he's got credentials and he's somebody who's real important. And he's telling me this amazing secret. And, this is the kind of stuff that's happening here at the ranch because people come out and they have these experiences and they tell us all sorts of stuff. And, that could be a huge monetary, impact to the whole world.
Wow. Well, you guys, I am so glad. I am so thankful that you guys took the time to come back on with us. And I really hope that when you guys get more experiences that you guys come back on and tell us more because, like I said, I am so excited just to hear what you guys have experienced again. For me, it's so exciting. So I really hope that you guys come back on.
It's definitely a kind of a strange trip or adventure that we've been on. Just because we never know what's coming around the corner. We never know what's literally going to come through the portal. We never know what's going to happen in terms of what information is going to be given to us. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm never going to say never again. That's for sure. I was like, yeah, that doesn't exist. No, never going to do that again. I'll tell you that right now. I'm going to be like, whatever. It's all good. Anything goes, man. Anything goes.
I think there's so much in this world we haven't even experienced yet, and I'm hoping to live long enough to experience something.
Well,
come on out.
Yeah, come on out. You've got a chance.
Oh, trust me, I am trying to get my finances in order because that is like the one thing on my list. I want to come out there so bad and just relax and experience. That's what my goal is. So hopefully I'll be able to have myself in that kind of a financial situation by summer.
We should find somebody with a travel agency and get them to put a package together.
Yeah, because, it's a pretty big place, So
that would be awesome.
It's getting to the point where people are almost every week people are coming out and, people are constantly getting hold of us. We had various different new media companies that are interested in doing specials on the ranch and, possible movies and things. So who knows? We don't know where this thing's going.
And the story's not even over yet.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping you guys come back on and tell me what else you experienced because I'll tell you, for me, this is exciting. And I know I've gotten a lot of feedback from listeners on this and they are, I've had a lot of emails saying that I'm going there, I'm going to figure out my finances and I'm going to go and actually check this out. And I'm like, you know what? Me too, because this is something that I think it would change my life. I'm quite sure.
Well, like I said, we get people from Canada, we get people from all over the world that come in, and we get phone calls from all over. I bet on a weekly basis, I get 20 phone calls from, foreign countries, China, Japan, Australia, Thailand, just all sorts of places with people that are interested in coming here. So, it's open to everybody. All we ask is that you be a well-grounded person and that you make a donation to Hopeful Hooves to support the horses, our 501c3 charity. And, it's a love donation. It's not like we say you got to have a certain amount. It's, do what you feel is the right amount in your heart.
Yeah, no fear. Fear is not your friend. Fear and doubt is not your friend.
Oh, I would think not there.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, and I am definitely going to get myself in order here so I can come out and see you guys.
Okay, well, thank you.
Well, thank
Thanks,
you guys so much. And you guys have a great night and stay safe.
Thank you.
You too. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was absolutely awesome, you guys. That was an awesome interview. I absolutely love having them on the show. I love to be able to experience what it is that they've experienced. And I can't wait to be able to have the opportunity to be able to go there and check it out for myself. And you know what? I think when I do, you guys, I'm going to bring you guys a live feed on that. And so you guys can kind of experience what I'm experiencing with me. So I think that that's a deal. So this summer I'm going to try to put that together so that I can do a live show for info2rail right at the actual place. And I'm going to take you guys with me there, and we're going to do this live so we can get some of this stuff, right. You guys can experience it with me. This is amazing. And, I, again, really, really want to thank John and Alyzabeth for their time to come on here and share this with us, because this stuff is absolutely amazing. And I look so forward to them coming back on and sharing it with us again. But I look just as I'm just as excited about going out there and actually experiencing for myself. Well, that's all we have time for today. We post our shows on YouTube, and if you want to know more about our guests and upcoming shows, please feel free to visit our info2rail webpage. Easiest way is to just Google info2rail and click on our Google Sites page. And right on there is our link as well to our YouTube channel. I want to thank each and every one of you so much for joining us here at info2rail. I could not do the things that I enjoy doing, coming on here and chatting with these people and bringing you guys such amazing information. I couldn't do that if it wasn't for the guests and you listeners. So I just want to take the time to tell you guys how much I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you here for each show. May God bless you and keep you, and may His face shine upon you in these uncertain times. We'll see you soon.